You are not a victim, and you know this. You play the victim sometimes, and you are good at it, but you are not playing the victim right now. You have decided against it. And the woman pressing down on your throat is doing very little to prove or disprove your theories about victimization in general, and you want to thank her for that. In fact, you would thank her, and you try to make a mental note on that tiny yellow sticky pad in your brain that thanking her is a key part of this, but the thank you thought escapes you. The thank you thought escapes you as soon as you think it, because right now you are thinking about other things. There is a dog throwing up in a hotel room in New Jersey. You too feel like throwing up and you think, you are a dog. The hotel is along a turnpike that leads sort of to Canada. You were with this dog in Canada only moments ago. There was a static of water all over Canada. You remember this, and you remember how you couldn't seem to hear anything the woman said when you were in Canada, and you wonder how you will describe Canada to your friends. You wonder, what will they see when you show them pictures of Canada, and you know they will see the water next to you, and they will think that it is pretty. And they will not be wrong. The water is, after all, very pretty, but you wonder how you will show them your ears. You feel like throwing up, and it is true, you are a dog. You are a dog who belongs to this woman, and you know that. Like the other dog, you like her hands on you. You like that she shows you off sometimes, that she is momentarily proud of you when you make a witty remark at dinner. You like going out to dinner with her because you have an owner, and you like that. You like that no one says anything as crass as this when she takes the bill at dinner. You like the thickness of the envelope when the credit card bill comes to the house, and you like thinking, yes, yes, she owns me. You watched a movie with her at home one time, and you liked that. You liked that you went to the independent film store together, like chatting with the owner. Liked that you chose a film about necrophilia, and she didn't hesitate when you handed it to her. You liked that you watched it in the dark and she was next to you. You liked that you both stayed awake until the end and then agreed you both had been bored. You don't like that you had so much sex with her and remember so little of it. You don't like to spend your time on a project and not carry with you some results. In the time after the movie in the dark, you fell asleep like you usually do. You kissed in the necessary but inconsequential way a shoe presses down, then off of a stair. You feel like masturbating now, but you know this is no time for that. There's a dog throwing up in the corner, and this woman has her hands around your throat, and the truth is a cliche. You hate cliches, but the fact is you are running out of air. You remember that Michael Hutchins died this way, minus the woman, minus the hands. You think you are a dog. You are not Michael Hutchins. But you hope this is foreplay and that she still wants you. You know that this means you are sick, and you also kind of hope that. You hope this is the kind of thing that will solidify everything, that you will get rings now, that she really loves you. You think you wish she could impregnate you. You think you'll make great moms together. You think you will raise beautiful kids. Having sex with or as a dead person was never really a thing that turned you on, and even now, with the wetness seeping into your jeans and the hands pressing down on your throat, you do not wish to be having sex, nor do you wish to be dead. Neither do you wish the woman with her hands pressing down on your throat were dead. You made love to her once in your sleep. She too was practically sleeping, and you made love to her, and it seemed to you then that you both were dead. But you do not now wish to be dead. You wish you were an architecture student. If you were an architecture student, you would learn that a hand on a throat is a rooftop. You would know how to properly support a rooftop in a snowstorm. You would know that a rooftop is neither living nor dead. When I speak of bodies torn away from themselves, I'm speaking of bodies with lungs. I'm speaking of women's bodies. I'm speaking of women who were not always women. I'm speaking of women who were born into bodies they did not know themselves in. I'm speaking of bodies made. I'm speaking of bodies with nails, with extensions, and with tongues. When I speak of women who were not always women, I'm speaking of bodies earned. When I speak of bodies torn from themselves, I'm trying not to speak of the 594 bodies like them. Bodies enough to line the road from South Tucson to North Tucson, bodies that if we lined them up from South Tucson to North Tucson and laid them side by side, we would have created for ourselves a veritable red carpet. A red carpet of bodies torn from themselves we could walk on without fear of twisting our tender ankles. But there are too many bodies torn from themselves to hold my speaking, too many carpets laid down for us. I am not speaking of these bodies, for there are too many women, not always women, to comprehend, so that when I speak of the bodies torn from themselves, I am not speaking of the hundreds of bodies torn from themselves, because there are hundreds I can speak of, but I cannot speak of them, and so now I'm speaking only of one. When I speak of women, not always women, I'm speaking of women who once had mothers. I speak of a toothache morning. I speak of a body before sweat glands have developed. I speak of a body before it is inhabited by dreams. It is a necessary fallibility, this comfort. When I speak of necessity, I speak of comfort. I speak of speaking. I speak of saying her name so that she may hear it, even though I know the fact is she will not hear it. I speak of speaking for my own sake. I speak of my own comfort. I speak of the body she has been torn away from, and I make her a new body. I imagine that by speaking, I make her a new body, but I speak her name, and I speak her name, but she has been torn away from herself. I speak now to buffer myself from my imagination. I speak of Brenda, but I speak now of no one. I speak, and I speak only words. I speak of not speaking. I speak of passersby. I speak of over 50 hours of crisis training and 1 year on a crisis line. I speak of public authority. I speak of classrooms. I speak of the inefficacy of all the protests on the planet. I speak of a holy and inarticulable fear. I speak of the faith we place naively in the imperative. I speak of urgency and witness. I speak of ignorance. I speak of 3,000 cameras in Tucson. I speak of an almost break-in and a former lover chastising me for calling the police. I speak of the relief of suddenly being invisible. I speak of mass delusion. I speak of a woman who walked by one man and was blocked by another. I speak of speak-outs. I speak of shame. I speak of art that does nothing and never will, but we make it. I speak of videos that lull us into thinking it's safe to sleep. I speak of the narcissism of the bystander. I speak of now and nothing. I speak of the privilege of choosing. I speak of men making eye contact. I speak of the impotence of looking away. I speak of a woman who has been here and the need for returning. I speak of a fear of teeth, a fear of fists, a fear of guns.